Chapter 3.3 Multiplication and Division of Fractions. Okay, first of all, let's multiply fractions first. So when you multiply two fractions, what we do is make a product of the numerators over the product of denominators. So here it is fraction A over B and C over D. We're going to multiply these two. Then what we do is just multiply the numerators A and C, and then the denominator will be the product of B and D. It's really simple, isn't it? So here's an example. 2 over 5 times 1 over 3. Then we will multiply the numerators of these two fractions over multiply the denominators 5 and 3. So the numerator will be 2 times 1 is 2, 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, so we just multiplied, we just made a product of these two. And then once you get a fraction, always simplify the fraction. Okay, which means if there's a common factor in the numerator and the denominator, we can reduce this fraction. Okay, now 2 and 15 has no common factor, so just leave it. How about the next example? Okay, so 3 times 5. The numerator will be 3 times 5 over the denominator will be 4 times 8. Then the numerator, the product will be 3 times 5 will be 15. And 4 times 8 is 32. Okay, is there any common factor? No. So, actually, before you multiply the numerators and denominators, make sure if there is a common factor. If there is no common factor, then you can multiply. Even the product will not have a common factor. But if there's a common factor before you multiply, then reduce first. It's faster. But this one does not have a common factor. Okay, how about this one? Okay, 2/5 of 1/3. What do you mean by this? Okay, this of means multiply. So something like this, 10% of 100. Then it will be 10% times 100. So 10% is 0.1, right? 0.1, something like this. 10% of 100. So this means 10% is 0.1 and multiply by 100. So it will be 10, right? 10. Something like that. So of will be used as a product, multiplication. Multiply. So this will be 2 over 5 multiplied by 1/3. Okay, so 2 times 1 over the denominator is a product of 5 and 3. So it will be 2 over 15. Okay. Okay, the reciprocal of a number or the multiplicative inverse of a number. A is a number. Let's say A is a number. Then that is what we do is A is A over 1, right? A over 1. So A is equal to A over 1. So the reciprocal of this number is interchange the numerator and the denominator. So the numerator goes to the denominator and the denominator goes to the numerator. Just switch these two. So that is the reciprocal or multiplicative inverse. So the reciprocal of A will be 1 over A. Interchange the numerator and the denominator. So the product of a number and its multiplicative inverse or multiplicative inverse is equal to what? That is called what? Reciprocal or reciprocal. So let's say you have a number 8. Okay, 8. And the reciprocal of this number is 1 over 8, right? 1 over 8. Then this is equal to 8 over 8. So that is 1. So it is always 1. Or if there is a number, let's say 2 over 3. Okay, 2 over 3 and its reciprocal or multiplicative inverse of this number, this fraction is 3 over 2. Switch top and bottom. Then this will be equal to 1, right? 1. 2 times 3, 3 times 2, and others are cancelled out, right? So this one cancel out, cancel out, cancel out. So we got 1, right? 1. Okay, and then let's keep this in mind. The product of two numbers with the same sign is positive. We already know this one because, negative 2. Okay, let's say here's a number, negative 2 times negative 3. Then, we are multiplying two numbers with the same sign, so the result will be positive, right? Positive. So this is equivalent to 2 times 3, right? 2 times 3, positive. Okay, even fraction is the same. So let's say we want to multiply negative 2 over 3 and 5 over, let's say 7. Negative 5 over 7. Okay, these two fractions have the same sign, negative and negative, right? Negative and negative. So it becomes positive. So then what you do is just multiply these two fractions. The sign is positive. Okay, how about if you are multiplying two numbers with different signs? Just like 2 times negative 3. Then the result is negative, right? Negative 6. Same thing as this one applies to the fraction. So let's say 2 over 3 times negative 5 over, let's say 5 over 7. Okay, then two numbers have different signs, so the sign will be negative. So this is equivalent to negative 2/3 times 5 over 7. Make sense? Then this is equal to negative 2 times 5 over 3 times 7. So negative 10 over 21. So if two numbers have different signs and you are multiplying these two numbers, then the result is negative. And from the above example, in this example, it became positive, negative is positive. So the numerator is what? 2 times 5 over 3 times 7. So that is equal to 10 over 21, right? Okay, then let's try this example. We're going to multiply three fractions, three numbers, and then let's find out the negative signs. So this is equal to, okay, let's multiply the first two fractions. So these two fractions have negatives, so they have the same sign. So remove the, negative and negative becomes positive. This is a product, product of 2, actually 3. So let's multiply the first two. The first two have the same sign, so it will become positive. So this is equivalent to just multiply two fractions, and the sign is positive, right? Okay. Next, the left side is positive, the right side is negative. So the sign will be negative, right? Negative. Positive, negative is negative. So let's move the negative sign outside. Then this is equivalent to negative. And then multiply all these three fractions. Right? So the results will be negative. And then what you do is just simplify, multiply these three fractions. So this is equal to negative. The numerator is 3 times 2 times 10. The denominator is 8 times 5 times 21. So before we multiply each numerator and denominator, why don't we split into prime factorization? So 3 times 2, and then 10 is 2 times 5 because we want to reduce, simplify the fraction. And 8 is 2 times 2 times 2, 5, and 21 is 3 times 7. So do the prime factorization for both numerator and the denominator so that we can simplify, reduce. So here is 3 in the numerator, and denominator has another 3, so we can cancel it out. And then here's 1, 2, right? So get rid of these 2, and it's another 2, reduce. And here's 5, 5, right? So the numerator is what? All gone, so the numerator is 1. We reduced it, so this is equivalent to times 1. So, you know, even there's nothing in the numerator, always there is a 1 left, something like this, times 1, right? Times 1, still same. So we can think of, this is not 0. Factors are gone, but actually there is a factor 1. Okay, the denominator, it has 2 times 7, so there will be 14. So this is the result. Okay, so keep in mind this, if you have a expression which is a product, everything is a product, then count the number of negative signs. If the number of negative signs is odd, then the result will be minus. Because get rid of 2 negatives, then what? 1 negative left, right? So if the number of negative sign is negative, then odd, then the result is negative. If the number of negative signs is even, then the result is positive. Okay, so let's try more examples. Okay, so the product of an odd number of negative fractions is negative. And the product of an even number of negative fractions is positive. So why don't we multiply 1 over 2, this fraction 1 over 2 times negative 1 over 2. Let's keep try. Negative 1 over 2 and negative 1 over 2. Then one more, negative 1 over 2. Then what is the sign of this result? Okay, let's count the number of negative signs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 negative numbers. So the result will be negative, right? Negative 1 over. Okay, the denominator, multiply denominator. So 2 is multiplied 5 times, right? So you can write it 2 to the 5th power. 2 to the 5th power. So that is equal to 1 over 2, 4, 8, 16, and 32. So the result is negative. What if we multiply a fraction, negative numbers 4 times? Then the result is positive, right? Because there are even the negative numbers, the number of negatives is even. So the product, this is a product of even number of negative fractions. So the result is positive. So this is equal to 1 over 2 to the 4th power. So 2 is multiplied 4 times, which is 16. Okay, let's try an example. In this case, it's different types. So let's say in order to make a costume, it requires 3/4 yards of fabric. So if we want to make 12 costumes, then we're gonna multiply this. So let's check this one. So I want to make a 12 costumes, so 12 times. In order to make one costume, it will take 3/4 yards of fabric. So multiply these two numbers. Then how do you multiply these two? Okay, look at this, 12. 12 is a whole number. So in that case, we can make it over 1. The denominator is over 1. So this is equivalent to 12 is equivalent to 12 over 1. And times the second fraction is 3 over 4. So what we do is multiply the numerators, which is 12 and 3. The denominator is 4. Actually, this is 1 times 4, right? 1 times 4. And 12 and 4 can be, is divisible by 4. 12 is divisible by 4, so, okay, let me write it. 12 is 4 times 3, and 1 times 4 is 4, so you can cancel this out. So the result is 9 over 1, which is 9, right? 9. All right. So it requires 9 yards of fabric. Can you see this part? 12, I made a product 12 as a product of 4 and 3 because we have a 4 in the denominator. So 4 times 3 is 12. Denominator is 4, so you can cancel out this 4. Okay, so when you have a whole number, rewrite it with the denominator 1. Okay, how about this? I'm going to multiply two mixed numbers. Then we have to convert the mixed number into an improper fraction. So, okay, this is equal to the improper fraction for this. The first fraction is what? Mixed number is 7 times 2 is 14. And 14 plus 1 is 15, right? So negative 15 over 2. And the second mixed number is 4 times 5. Multiply this whole number and the denominator. So 4 times 5 is 20. And then add this 2. So 22 over 5. Okay. Then the sign, there is only one negative, so the result is negative. And the numerator is 15 times 22 over 2 times 5. Now let's keep doing this. The numerator is 15. And 15 and 5, right? 15 and 5. So 15 is 3 times 5. And then 22 is 2 times 11. Okay, the denominator is 2 and 5. So that we can reduce. So 3 stays and the 5 cancel out, 2 cancel out. So the result is negative. 3 times 5, 11 is 33 over. The denominator is nothing, so nothing means 1. Okay, 1. So the result is negative 33. Okay, let's check the division. So when you divide a number, so 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3, right? So we read it as 6 divided by 2. So this means 6 divided by 2 means 6 over 2, right? 6 over 2 equals 3. And 6 over 2 is equivalent to 6 times 1 over 2. So 1 over 2. So 6 times 1 over 2 is 6 over 2. So the result is 3, right? So in this case, we can convert. If you have a divided by something, then we can make it times the reciprocal of the number. So divided by 2 is the same as what? Times by what? Multiplied by reciprocal of 2, 1 over 2. Okay, so this is how we divide fractions. Okay, so a over b is a fraction, and this number is divided by a fraction, c over d. Then divided by means what? Product. Make a product. So times multiplied by reciprocal of this fraction. Reciprocal. So c over d is what? Reciprocal of c over d is d over c. Okay, always keep in mind that the denominator of a fraction cannot be equal to 0. Cannot be the 0. So this value b, denominator b cannot be equal to 0, and d is not equal to 0. And once you make a product, the c, the numerator c became the denominator. So c cannot be equal to 0. Always keep in mind this. Okay, so when we divide this, 2 over 5 divided by 3 over 4, then this is equivalent to what? 2 over 5. Convert the division into multiplication. So 2 over 5 is multiplied by what? Reciprocal of this fraction. So 4 over 3. So this is equal to 2 times 4 over 5 times 3. And finally, 8 over 15. Can you see how we got this? So this is really important. So whenever you have a division, then make it a product multiplied by reciprocal, 3/4. So make a reciprocal of only this one, the divisor. All right, and then how about if you divide negative numbers? What happens? So let me go up. So as we did here, the product means multiplication, right? So if you have a quotient is a division. So if you are dividing fractions with the odd number of negative fractions, then the result is negative. Same thing. So the quotient, even here, the quotient of an even number of negative fractions is positive. Same thing, same as product. So let's try some example. Okay, for this example, okay, negative 2/3 is a negative, and then negative 5/4 is a negative. So there are two negatives, even number of negatives, right? So the result will be positive. So this is equal to 2/3 divided by 5/4. So when you have a division, what do we do? Make a product multiplied by reciprocal of these two. So this fraction, so 4/5. Then multiply the numbers in the numerator and multiply the numbers in the denominator. So that is equal to 8/15. So the result is positive because there are two negatives, right? So this is a division. Or if an expression is multiplication or division, check the number of negatives. If the number of negatives is even, then the result is positive. Okay, how about the next one? Okay, the result should be what? Negative, right? There's only one negative. So the result is negative. This is same as negative 3/4 multiplied by the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal of 6? Reciprocal should be what? 1/6, right? Of 6. Of 6 is equal to 6/1, isn't it? Of 6. 6/1. So that will be 1/6, right? 1/6. So reciprocal of 6 is 1/6. Okay, before we write it, why don't we just write it again here? Okay, let's write 6/1 instead of 6, so that it's much easier. 3/4, and now we can multiply times the reciprocal. So it will be 1/6. Okay, then negative, multiply the numerator, so 3 times 1, 4 times 6. Then negative 3/4 times, okay, so this 3 times 1, and the denominator is 4 times 6 is 2 times 3, right? So you can cross out this 3, so the result is negative 1/4 times 2 is 8. Alright, so I removed the parentheses because I just wanted to separate negative sign and the parentheses, but in this case, well, we don't need this parentheses, so I just write the negative sign only. Okay, this time let's evaluate x divided by y. Okay, and evaluate means substitute the value of x and y with the variable x and y. So evaluate means what? Replace the variable x and y with these given numbers. So what is x in this case? X is a mixed number, so let's write this one in improper fraction. So improper fraction is 3 times 8, 24 plus 1, so it will be 25/1, right? So over 8. So instead of using 3 and 1/8, we can use this improper fraction. So x divided by y is equal to 25 over 8 divided by 5. Okay, let me write the original value first. So x divided by y is 3 and 1/8, right? 3 and 1/8 divided by 5, right? So we can convert this one into the first fraction, make this mixed number into improper fraction. So there will be 3 times 8 plus 1 is 25 over 8 divided by 5 is equal to 5 over 1, right? 5 over 1. So now we can make a product. So 25 over 8 multiplied by reciprocal of 5. So there will be 1 over 5. Then this is equal to 25 is 5 times. Okay, so that is 25. The numerator is 25 times 1 over 8 times 5. And then let's write each numerator and denominator. Let's do the prime factorization of the numerator and the denominator. So 25 is 5 times 5 times 1. Actually 1 is not required, doesn't matter. And 8 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Then we can cancel out 1, 5. And there's no common factor, so just leave it. So 5 times 1 is 5. The denominator is 2 times 2 times 2 is 5, 8. Okay, so this is how we evaluate fractions, division expression, that is a division. Okay, then let's try application problems. Okay, this is a very important formula, the area of a triangle. Okay, the area of triangle is, okay, let's say B is the length of the base, the bottom side, so the length of the bottom side, and H is the height from the point C to the bottom side. It's a perpendicular. So if it's a perpendicular, then we use a little square symbol at the bottom like this. That means that is 90 degrees, perpendicular. So the area of triangle is simple. What we do is multiply the base and the height. Okay, multiply B and H and then divide by 2. Okay, so 1 over 2 times BH. Okay, BH. B is the base, H is the height. So multiply the base and the height, divide by 2. That is the area of a triangle. So let's try this one. In this case, the base is 6, right? 6 meters. And then the height is 2 meters. So the area will be half the base times the height. So that is equal to 1 over, isn't it? Can I write it something like this? So this is equal to, okay, what is 1 over 2 over 6? 1 over 2 times 6 is 3, isn't it? This 2 will make 3, right? 3 times 2, so that is 6. And area is, okay, meter times meter, so it will be square meters. You're multiplying the meters twice, so the unit will be square meters. Okay, there is a 12-foot board, and this board is cut into pieces. So each piece will be 2.5 feet long, 2.5 foot long. So then what is the length of the remaining piece after we cut into 2.5 feet long? Okay, so look at this. Here is 12 foot, right? So we're gonna cut into 2.5 feet. I don't know how many pieces will be. Actually, I don't know. We have to do it, right? So okay, so anyway, I don't know how many, right? How many 2.5? So what we do is first we need to divide 12 feet by 2.5, right? So first divide. We gotta divide 12 feet by 2.5, so that we know how many pieces and how many foot left. So let's divide it first. So 12 divided by 2.5 is equal to, this is equivalent to 12 divided by, write this mixed number in improper fraction. So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5, so 5 over 2. Then 12 is equal to 12 over 1, right? 12 doesn't matter, sorry. Doesn't matter. So 12 times, and reciprocal of this 5 over 2 is 2 over 5. Then multiply what? The numerators, right? Numerators. So yeah, you can write it over 1, still okay. Over 1. So 12 times 2 over 1 times 5. Then this is equal to 24 times 5. So 24 times 5 equals what? Okay, let's write this in mixed numbers so that we know how many pieces are cut. So mixed number is, divide 24 by 5 is 4. 4 times 5 is 20, right? And then 4 left. So 4 over 5. So the result is 4 and 4/5. So this means 4 pieces, right? There are 4 2.5 foot pieces. And 4/5 left. 4/5 of a piece left. Make sense? So there are 4 pieces, and this is not, the 4 over 5 is not 1 piece, a little bit short, right? So this is 4/5 is 4 over 5 means 4/5 of 1 piece. 4/5 of 1 piece. What's the size of this piece? 2.5 foot, right? 2.5 foot. So look at this. 4/5 is, you can write it, okay, 4/5 is, can be written as this. For the length, right? This is the length. Okay, let me write it here. So 4/5 of a 2.5 foot piece, right? Piece. So this is the length. This is the length of the remaining piece, right? Remaining piece of the remaining piece. All right, so this means 4/5 of 2.5 means multiply 4 over 5 by 2.5. So that is equal to 4 over 5 times, okay, 2.5 is 2 times 2 is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5, this. And this is equal to 4 times 5 over 5 times 2. And then we can reduce because 4 can be divided by 2, right? Can I do it something like this? 4 divided by 2 is 2, right? And 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 5 cancel out. So we have 2. So the result is 2. So this means the length of the remaining piece is 2 feet. Right? So 2 feet is the length of the remaining piece. It should be, each piece is 2.5 foot. But since we have 4/5 of the piece, so it will be 2 feet. Okay, that's it for this section.